What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and today we need to talk about cannabis stocks and some great news that has happened over the past 24 hours, as well as some really good things that I'm noticing on the horizon. We're going to break down a bunch of legalization catalysts and a whole bunch more that's going well for cannabis stocks, why I think they're potentially going to be pumping up in a big way in the near to midterm. All right, so we're going to have to start off looking at the SPY, and you're wondering, why are we looking at the SPY? Because we've, for the past several months, been in a bear market. The market's been moving down pretty dramatically. And finally, we're starting to see some semblance of a recovery over the past couple of weeks. We're starting to move back up, today included. We're up about 1.5%. And today is going to be very vital to getting the overall market moving in the right direction. If the market's moving down, it's really tough for any individual sector to do well, especially cannabis stocks, as they're more speculative and would, in this case at least, be moving up, pumping up on hype. If we saw a bunch of these legalization catalysts going through, it's very tough to get that to happen when the market's moving down. Now, currently, the market's actually pretty green, and today is a very important day because Wednesday, July 27th, the Fed is releasing their interest rate decision. That has the power to shake markets, and it's good to see that we're already green on the day. This news will be releasing at 2 o'clock today, so make sure to tune back in. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I will be covering it, letting you guys know what's going on in the overall market and the effect that that could have on cannabis stocks. But overall, there's been some really good news for cannabis stocks, which you wouldn't expect to see when looking at their charts. You might notice that their charts aren't looking too good on the day, down 3% on sundial, down 5% on tilray, down 2% on mjna, down 2% on aurora cannabis, and about break even on canopy growth. A lot of these stocks aren't moving up despite some of really good news that we've had. The House just passed a bipartisan cannabis research bill. We talked about this bill in past videos. They just passed it. The Senate is expected to pass it and send it to Biden soon. The Senate has passed previous versions of this bill before, so they're expected to pass it again. And this would actually be the first standalone piece of cannabis legislation to make it to the president's desk in maybe ever. I think it's at least in a very, very, very long time. And it's really good that the House just passed this thing. Now, we're also seeing that senators just discussed cannabis reform at a historic hearing following the introduction of a full recreational legalization bill, which we have covered in great detail on the channel. Now, they've had this cannabis reform hearing, and at it, Schumer actually defended cannabis and his bill, saying there's overwhelming evidence that legalization doesn't increase crime. In fact, he has the quote right here. He says, "The overwhelming evidence from the states that have legalized cannabis is that there has not been an increase in crime and has not been an increase in drug use." And he also said, "I think it makes a great deal of sense to legalize marijuana." So Chuck Schumer, obviously, he's a pro supporter for cannabis legalization. He introduced that cannabis legalization bill to the Senate that will hopefully be getting passed, but he is making some arguments to legalize it at these discussions that the Senate's having. And, you know, it's encouraging and emboldening a lot of other politicians. We've seen a couple other politicians actually take very pro-cannabis legalization action. In fact, a senator just filed a bill to allow cannabis advertising on TV and radio and legal states. It's titled the Secure and Fair Enforcement Advertising Act. This would just let people advertise cannabis in states where it's legal, whereas currently they aren't allowed to do that. And another congressman, a member of the House, actually said he's finally overcome some cannabis banking hurdles that have been there in the past. There have been cannabis banking bills that have tried to be, or that have actually been passed in the House 7 times, and they've not been able to get through the Senate. He's saying that now that the full recreational legalization bill has been introduced to the Senate, he believes that that will tip the scales, that senators, if they won't pass that, will at the very least pass a Safe Banking Act for cannabis. And it's called the Secure and Fair Enforcement Banking Act. Essentially, it would just allow cannabis businesses in states where it's legal to access banks and use banks. Currently, they have to operate in all cash because banks are not allowed to engage with them. So overall, a lot of good news for cannabis stocks, a lot of good new bills on the horizon, a lot of support for current bills, and other bills are actually getting passed in the House, likely to go through the Senate sometime soon into the president very soon as well. So overall, really good stuff for the cannabis space. A lot of stocks are not reflecting it, though. It's my opinion that eventually the writing will be so clear on the wall that these stocks will start reflecting it, especially if the market's moving up. If we can get the market moving up in time for this cannabis legalization hype to really come to its fruition, I think that would be an ideal situation. It's tough to get stuff to pump when the market's down, when people are low on cash. But if the market can start to recover in the next couple of weeks and months, then that could be really good for a lot of these cannabis stocks. And other than that, guys, keep in mind this is just my opinion, not financial advice. If you appreciate that, feel free to subscribe to the channel. And other than that, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.